Look at this building. With its baby blue exterior and sloping coral-tiled roof, it looks exactly like a traditional Hindu temple in southern India. But this is the Cheraman Juma Masjid in Kerala, and according to local tradition, it is the very first mosque ever built in India. The origin of this building is tied to a famous legend. The story goes that a Hindu king named Cheraman Perumal was sleeping one night when he had a vivid prophetic dream. In it, he saw the moon in the night sky suddenly split into two distinct halves. His court astrologers were baffled, but soon after, a group of Arab spice traders arrived at his port. They explained that the king's vision actually matched a miracle performed by the Prophet Muhammad in Arabia. Convinced he had witnessed a divine sign, the king abdicated his throne. He traveled to Mecca, embraced Islam, and spent his final days there. Before he died, he gave his companions, led by a man named Malik ibn Dinar, a mandate: travel back to Kerala and establish a place of worship. According to a plaque inside the building, that mission was completed in 629 AD. But history is rarely that neat. While that 629 AD date is carved into the mosque's foundation stone, modern historians and archaeologists have dug into the physical evidence, and what they found directly challenges this literal magical timeline. To figure out how Islam actually reached the Indian subcontinent, we have to look past the royal legends of split moons. The real story is written in merchant ledgers and the predictable rhythms of the Arabian Sea trade winds. The first crack in the legend comes from the king's name itself. Historians point out that Cheraman Perumal was not the name of a specific individual. It was a general royal title that translates to Great Lord of the Cheras, a dynasty that ruled the region. Furthermore, the most detailed written account of this mu-splitting dream comes from an anonymous Arabic text called the Qissat Chakrawarti Farmad. But that manuscript was written in the 12th century, hundreds of years after the supposed events took place. If we want hard, contemporary proof of Islam in Kerala, we have to jump forward to the year 849 CE. That is the date of the Tharasapalli copper plates, a set of royal charters granting land and privileges to a local church. What makes these plates crucial for Islamic history is the witness list. At the bottom of the charter, alongside local signatures, you can find the names of Muslim merchants written clearly in Kufic Arabic, an early angular script used in the Arabian Peninsula. As for the Kodungallur Mosque itself, architectural analysis and physical inscriptions found on the structure date the current, restored iteration of the building to the year 1124 CE, not 629. The epigraphic record tells a clear story. Islam didn't arrive in South India through a sudden, top-down royal conversion. It arrived through merchant contracts and gradual economic integration. The legend of the Dreaming King is a narrative constructed long after the fact. This map illustrates the routes of what historians call monsoon Islam. For centuries, predictable seasonal winds across the Indian Ocean allowed Romans, Egyptians, and Arabs to sail directly to the Malabar coast, specifically targeting the port of Muziris to buy black pepper. Because these sailors were purely driven by trade, not military conquest, they didn't arrive as an invading force. They waited out the monsoon seasons on the coast, set up shop, and peacefully intermarried with the local population. But as this local Muslim community grew, they faced a social problem. To operate successfully and gain prestige under the rule of Hindu kings, they needed a compelling origin story that tied them directly to the local power structure. They weren't the only ones doing this. Jewish refugees and St. Thomas Christians in the area also promoted narratives placing their arrival at Muziris in the very first century. It was a regional tradition to anchor your faith to ancient, noble beginnings. For the local Mapila, the Muslims of the Malabar coast, the Cheraman legend did exactly that. By claiming a direct, peaceful connection to both the Prophet Muhammad and the great Chera kings, they distinguished themselves from the Turkic and Afghan Muslims who later arrived in North India through military conquest. The moon-splitting story was a calculated, brilliant social tool. It allowed early Muslims to weave their faith seamlessly into the fabric of Kerala's existing religious landscape, securing their status without inciting a single conflict. You can see the success of that integration by looking right at the walls of the Cheraman Juma Masjid. The original structure borrows entirely from regional design. It sits on a heavy laterite stone base, features a sweeping tiled roof and relies on an intricately carved wooden ceiling. There is a complete absence of the traditional columns or grand domes you would normally associate with Islamic architecture. Step inside, and you'll find an ancient brass oil lamp. Local caretakers say it has been burning continuously for 1,000 years. Keeping a perpetual oil lamp lit is a ritualistic tradition borrowed directly from neighboring Hindu temples. The building itself stands as the physical proof of the myth's ultimate success. It is the literal manifestation of a Middle Eastern faith adapting and embracing the indigenous aesthetic of southern India. The architectural blend at the Cheraman Mosque is part of a much broader culture of religious harmony that defines modern Kerala. Take the Thrissur Puram, a massive annual Hindu temple festival. As you can see in this photograph, the ceremony features lines of decorated elephants holding elaborate parasols. For generations, those specific ornate umbrellas have been meticulously crafted by local Muslim artisans. Or look at the Sabarimala pilgrimage, one of the largest annual religious gatherings on earth. Before Hindu devotees ascend the mountain to worship Lord Ayyappa, tradition dictates they must first visit the local mosque in Aramelli to pay their respects to Vavar Swami, a legendary Muslim warrior. Back at the Cheraman Mosque, that same spirit continues today. It remains a highly active place of worship, completely open to the public. On any given day, you will find Hindus stepping into the courtyard to pray right alongside their Muslim neighbors. Historians and believers will likely always debate the exact dates and the literal truth of the Dreaming King, but the true legacy of the Cheraman Perumal legend is the unbroken reality of religious harmony it fostered. It proves that trade, adaptation, and mutual respect can build monuments that outlast empires.